지난달 서울예술의 전당에서는 현재 세계에서 가장 주목받는 피아니스트 랑랑의 내한 연주회가 열렸습니다. 일찌감치 좌석이 다 매진돼서 보고 싶어도 볼 수 없는 사람들이 많았다는 후문인데요. 그래서 크리스마스를 맞아 랑랑과의 특별 인터뷰 기획해봤습니다. 양영은의 인터뷰 선물 성탄절 특집 지금 바로 시작합니다. Welcome to Korea. How do you like that title, Do or Die?
Whether China or in Korea, there's a lot of similarities. You know,
Right.
what you call the Oriental kind of strict experience. And I thought, wow, music is so magical. You can just do those things in such a natural efforts. You don't need to push. You just play a song and everybody get it.
Yeah, so welcome to Korea.
감사합니다. Thank you.
감사합니다. 네, 안녕하세요. And thank you very much for taking your time out of your crazy schedule to our program, The Gift.
My pleasure.
Your presence today feels like a holiday gift to Korean fans.
It's really nice to play a very romantic repertoire in the holiday season. Particularly Chopin, Rachmaninoff seems like a good combination. So I played a kind of a special concert. It's a really passionate concert, I thought.
So you visited Seoul around this time last year, and you visited once again this year as well.
Yes, maybe next year in the same time.
So for those people who are not really familiar with you and your name, can you tell us a little bit about how your name is named Lang Lang?
My name is actually not the same. Sounds similar, but it's a lang lang in Chinese, so it's not the same word. It's lang lang.
Oh, Lang Lang.
Bright. The gaming name means pretty shining and bright. So it's a good meaning, but of course, as you may all know, as any kid from Asia, you always get a good name by your parents.
Reading the newspaper article, and then a lot of the article was dedicated to the story of your parents. As you might have heard, Korean parents are also very avid advocates for their kids and for their education especially. So can you also tell us about your parents?
So my parents had a pretty tough time because the Cultural Revolution, which just appeared in China in the late 60s to 76, from last century. So in a way that they couldn't really achieve their dreams, So, and then somehow, like the other parents of their generation, the new generation of us, which is born after the reform period, which is after the 79. So I was born in 82. So a lot of parents, including my parents, basically had a kind of idea to put their dream into the next generation.
Yes.
So, which is quite common in China for this
yes.
generation. So, and so in a way that even I was 1 or 2 years old, I already had a piano at my home. So for me, music education was like learning a language. I remember it's almost the same time when I start to talk. And I was already started playing the piano almost the same time. Yeah.
So by that time, you had a chance to watch the Tom and Jerry, the animation.
I just liked the cartoon character. I just thought cats, Tom played really incredible, and I really like his tuxedo with a little tie. And but obviously, I didn't know classical music much at the time. I just kind of know the cartoons, and then I started to play a little bit. to have some fun with it. And then, of course, later I get a real professional teacher to teach me. And yeah, but cartoon was my best childhood friend. Whether Tom and Jerry or Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, or Monkey King, and Transformers, they were always quite important to me when I was very, very young. And that time, always the music, especially from the U.S., it has a lot of classical music at the time. And somehow you just look into the motion picture, which they don't really talk much. Mostly music drive the move, or movement combined with music. So somehow you just follow it, and somehow it gives you the idea how music, should fit into different characters. And that gives me the first kind of a musical education.
That's good. That's very insightful. I also noticed that BBC in UK, one time they made the documentary about your childhood. How do you like that title, Do or Die? How does that?
Obviously, for the Western audience, they have a totally different way of training their kid, and they have a totally different way of training a musician, and somehow, and I was grew up in a very traditional Asian culture, whether China or in Korea. There's a lot of similarities.
Right.
What you call the Oriental kind of strict experience, and obviously, when the Europeans or the Americans or anyone who's not from this kind of a background, when they see the story, when they see the real progress, they get shocked, of course, and it's normal. I don't, I think if they don't feel anything different, then that's not normal.
If you have to start over, would you do it again? Would you be willing to go through all the hardship, let's say, and all the sacrifices that you had to deal with?
If I start again, I will not. If I start again, I will know what to do, what not to do. So, so it's the game will be very different. And but obviously, practice 8 hours, you cannot change that. But certainly, I would change something. I will not change completely. I think there are a lot of great things, and it's fantastic. To building the strength, it's pretty important for kids to growing up with a very strong energy, behind the practice, behind your mental strength. But there are something unnecessary. It need to be changed. Sometimes it's being too strict, and sometimes it's too inflexible. And there are a lot of that area can be changed.
And then you moved to the United States, so you experienced both different
Right.
cultures, right? How was the transition like? I mean, what was the transition like?
I remember the first day I went to America. I'm like, wow, this place is so nice. Nobody works hard, and I just felt that wow, the school is so much easier to be at. So much less homework. That's what I thought. Yeah. But of course, gradually, when you're in the college program, it also can be quite pressure. But in the end of the day, I was very lucky. I had a great teacher, Gary Grafman, who was the president of Curtis that time. He really, he's one of the best teacher ever, and he just helped me and opened the whole new world for me, and to get into the Western literature, the world of music history, and also how to manage in careers. This is another thing, how to design your own ways to get your goals. And he was a master. He is a master of that. Until today, we are now neighbors, and I always take a champagne and to his apartment around midnight, and we start chatting to 4 a.m. in the morning, and talking about art, music, sports, stock market,
Stock market.
everything. I mean, it's really from my greatest, most respectful teacher to my best friend. It's just incredible. Back to the school time, he already always take me out and talk about how important is the charity. Because in the school at Curtis, each of us as a students, we get a full scholarship by a sponsor. So every one of us has a sponsor. So then we realize how important, the whole procedure will change your life. And then later, he taught me on how charity system in America works, by donation and also donate your services. And then I see, how the society do the fundraiser for the musical presenters, musical organizations like Philadelphia Orchestra, and like University of Pennsylvania. I had a new teacher, Daniel Barenboim, he is kind of a musical hero that he took Palestine and Israeli musicians and bring them together. And now he's building the academy for Middle East musicians in Berlin, in Germany. So I see, how he changed the world with music, and that's really gave me a great lesson. Do similar ideas, a similar project to help younger generation of musicians to achieve their dreams.
Very good. So we'll think about in 30 or in 50 years, if we can ask you, where would you be? Where would you like to be? Then what would be your answers to that question?
10 years is much easier. Yeah, 50 years, who knows? Yeah. So my foundation started 5 years ago, and now we have a $2.5 million budget to spend, and we are now working with 15 young scholars.
15 young scholars.
15 young scholars, which I believe some of them will become next big musician. And then we also start to work with public schools, and we gave them $600,000 for 3 years to build music programs, to buy instruments, and to pay for the music teachers to teach them.
I'm just curious, was there any specific moment that when you decided to actually make this kind of dreams come true, that not only as a very accomplished pianist, but also as an artist in action?
I mean, it came actually in 2004 when I made my first visit as a UNICEF ambassador then. Back then, I visited Tanzania, and I went into a village. We bring in a keyboard, electronic keyboard, and I start playing for the kids who was having AIDS and malaria, all those horrible disease. And I start playing, and every one of them start listening and start dancing with it. And in the end of the day, they want to play piano with me. And they start smiling. In the beginning, they were all very shy. And I thought, wow, music is so magical. You can just do those things in such a natural efforts. You don't need to push. You just play a song, and everybody get it. And I realized, one day I should have an organization to really focus on music, do musical education.
but you managed to publish 2 books.
Yeah, that was quite a time ago. It was 2008. So I published it because that was the year of the Beijing Olympics, and I got a lot of questions about as a young Chinese guy that time, still I was only in still mid-20s, and what is your story? So that's why I decided to get a book in 2008. I remember one of my best friend, who's American, and he read the whole book, and he said, "I really want to have a fight with your father afterward."
So he wanted to fight with your father for you.
Somehow, he was jokingly said, but you can see that he
It's sad.
Yeah, he got a little upset,
Well, jokingly asking this question, so are you getting along with your father, right?
Yeah,
these
I
days?
mean, I actually have a very good relationship with my father, and one thing, I mean, now since I already grew up, and I kind of speak to my father every second day on the phone.
I'm pretty sure that even though your friend mentioned that he would love to fight with your father, but you owe a lot to your father, as well as your
I think my
mother.
father is really, I mean, he really sacrificed
Yes.
his career for mine, and so even though sometimes he's very tough, but the overall picture, I think without his support, I will never come this far.
You accomplished your dream as a kid to become a world-class pianist, right?
Being a professional pianist, the first thing, this will never change. The priority is to play as great as you can be, and you cannot say that today the concert is not a big deal. Let me, just play whatever. You cannot do that, and every recital is a new beginning, and you need to be really tough on yourself, to get the best form. Because once you are on a certain level, everyone is very careful when they listen to you, when they watch you.
Right.
So, and this is also, what is our responsibility, to make the best out of ourselves. So that never changed, and of course, on top of that, in addition, you are also a communicator. You're also a kind of a culture ambassador. So then you build up the other, what do you call, the social networks. But the core thing is to play piano in the best quality. That's always my number one goal. And then in addition, I thought, since someone who became famous, who became influential as a person through piano, then we also should do something, has a responsibility to the especially younger generation. And we really need it because not everybody knows what we're doing. For classical art, you need to think about something to kind of inviting people to watch it, to listen, to come. This doesn't come just like that. So in a way that's another responsibility as a pianist we need to take, is to find new ways to interpreting the piece, and also find ways to present the piece. That then the people will kind of start to have these curiosities to what is behind the note, what is behind this work, and what is this way of expressing the meaning, the characters, the colors, the cultural background, the history. And so somehow this has become an important issue as well. Otherwise, I believe that after certain years, young generation probably just doesn't really understand what classical music means to them.
It's pretty impressive that you keep mentioning the younger generation.
I think this is for me, to see a new talent, not only from China, but also, worldwide. It's a real kind of a fortune for me, to see a new treasure, from musical world. And especially, now the last musical camp we did in Munich, which we get eight different countries kid come in, and when we did some kind of chamber music together in the end, it's just the most touching moment. You see everyone is working in the same direction, and they have their own interpretations, but in the same time they really respect of each other, and they learn from each other, and that's what music, and that what life should be. Learn from each other, respect to different culture.
So our program, the title of our show is The Gift. So there is a question that we ask every guest to our program. What do you think is the biggest gift that you've received so far? And then what kind of gift do you want to pass down to the next generation?
I would say, music is the best gift I ever get. And
of course.
It's truly changed my life. And I'm talking about music in general, not only classical music, but just music. It's the real gift. And through music, I made so many good friends and really great friends. And I think this great creation should be shared to every one of us in the world, and people should enjoy with music, and also to create new ideas through music. And I would say, this is the gift I'm trying to share more from my personal experience, and I hope many people will take the footsteps being a musician. Yeah.
Well, this truly has been a gift to us and to the viewers as well. And we are looking forward to seeing you again in the near future in Korea. Can you say some Christmas message?
I know this is a Christmas special.
Yes.
And I really wish you Merry Christmas, and have a wonderful day during the Christmas time, and maybe enjoy Christmas together with music, and I hope, because Christmas and New Year are so close, and I hope this wonderful spirit will give all of us into 2014.
What is your Christmas plan? What's your plan for the Christmas?
I'm actually flying to Berlin to prepare my New Year concert with Berlin Philharmonic.
Oh.
So I'm flying to Europe.
Well, thank you again so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, hope to see you again in 2014.
Yes.
And twice shy.